Hey, everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It supports the podcast and it doesn't cost you anything. Well, folks, we got some very big news. In fact, very bullish news coming out from BNY Mellon, which is the world's largest custodial bank and America's oldest bank. And you all may recall a couple of years back, BNY Mellon tried to launch crypto custody, but due to regulatory uncertainty with the OCC, the rolling back of some of the rules that Brian Brooks put out when he was the head of the OCC, they've kind of paused that. However, in their recent SEC filing, and this has been verified, I looked at the filing myself, they disclosed that they have exposure to BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF and Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF. Incredible, folks. And they have $2 trillion of assets under management, and they are diversifying to Bitcoin ETFs. So pretty incredible. This news, once again, verified by the SEC filing. Let me give you some details here. BNY Mellon, the oldest bank in America and the world's largest asset custodial bank, is investing in spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, or ETFs. A new quarterly filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has revealed. This past January, the SEC greenlighted 11 Bitcoin ETFs, helping the world's largest cryptocurrency propel to a new all-time high price of $73,737 in this past March. The filing with the SEC indicates that BNY Mellon has invested in BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, two of the most popular investment vehicles for Bitcoin exposure following their SEC approval this year. But I thought crypto was a scam. I thought Gary Gensler said this industry is rife with fraud and all types of bad behavior, right? And this is why I've been always pointing you guys to the facts. Watch what they do, not what they say. You have the largest bank in the world, the oldest bank, diversifying and adding Bitcoin to their portfolio. Why are they doing that? Well, folks, the data doesn't lie. Bitcoin is the best performing asset over the past 10 years. Here's a chart actually that was released today that shows Bitcoin versus the S&P 500 versus gold versus treasuries. Bitcoin, for those of you listening on the audio, is up significantly. It's not even close. The returns are incredible. It's like what Paul Tudor Jones said, Bitcoin and crypto is the fastest horse in the race. Sure, you can diversify in real estate and the stock market and so forth, but nothing moves like crypto. So it's incredible what's taking place. And I'm sure many of you have seen those gains if you're diversified and you've been holding Bitcoin and other tokens. So this is very big news. And you can imagine that other big banks and players are doing this as well, not only in the United States, but globally. And coming up next week, guys, April 30th, Hong Kong is set to launch their Bitcoin and Ethereum spot ETF. And I've often told you guys it starts with Bitcoin and then the door will open for the altcoins. So incredible what's taking place. I'm blown away by news like this because there's so many naysayers and people who spread FUD and people who don't see the bigger picture here. And it's amazing when news like this comes out and it's validating the asset class and the technology. Now, I don't need validation, but it's more of, helping others who are still skeptics to understand, and maybe they can enter in at the right time in the market and make some life-changing money. Those of us who are here early, the early adopters, we, of course, are positioned to make incredible returns. Now, speaking of banks, guys, and I want to highlight this news because it relates to Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. Today, it was announced that the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the FDIC, said that the Republic First Bank has been closed by Pennsylvania state regulators in what the FDIC said was the first U.S. bank failure this year. Not a good sign, but we saw some of this in late 2022 into early 2023. The rapid increase in rates has hurt many of these banks, not to mention the fractional reserve banking system. When you put a lot of leverage on it, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have collapses and much more, and you got bad actors who do bad things, right? We saw a lot of this in the 2008 crash. However, what we saw is that the Fed and part of the government were, kind of backdoor bailing out these, or what they call it, bail-ins, these banks that suffered issues last year. And you also had the bigger banks come in and grab up some of these smaller banks. So there's a couple things happening here. But get ready, folks. If last year in 2023 was an indication, Elizabeth Warren is going to blame crypto for this, right? She's not going to tell you the real reason, and that is the rapid rate increase, which they had to do because of the rapid inflation, because they printed the most money in the history of the United States during the 2020 period. You all know what happened then. So they'll try to find scapegoats. Crypto's an easy one. Elizabeth Warren has an agenda to smear crypto, to try to kill the crypto startups, along with her puppet, Gary Gensler. So get ready. Crypto caused the collapse of the First Republic Bank, or the Republic First Bank, I should say. So it's funny that this is not making major headlines, right? But if it was crypto, let's say a crypto company that maybe went bankrupt and so forth, big headlines, Bitcoin, this and that, right? Elizabeth Warren will be tweeting out about it. You guys know the game that's being played here. This is why we need to amplify the facts, the truth, and we need to call out the lies and hypocrisy of Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, both scumbags, both liars, regardless of your political position. If you look at what these people are saying and versus the truth and the facts, they're scumbags. So let's hope this is not some sort of domino effect or the start of a domino effect here. It is not a great economy, even though some metrics are showing that, certain parts and pockets of the economy are doing well. Overall, rates are high. Obviously, the Fed is tightening as much as possible. I don't think they're going to be cutting anytime soon. And because inflation is the biggest problem. Once again, it all goes back to the amount of money that was printed in that 2020 period. And we're still feeling the after effects. And people are like, why are the Fed not cutting rates? This is so high. That is so high. I can't get a mortgage and so forth. But they don't understand economics. And I try to share those facts with you guys. That is part of it. But it all goes back to the debt-based system and the debasement of currency. They keep printing and they're going to continue to print, right? I think quantitative easing is eventually going to come back. And we already see global liquidity. All the central banks around the world are printing money. So that's going to help asset prices to rise. And like I said earlier, crypto is the fastest horse in the race amongst those asset classes. So we are positioned to take advantage of this situation, but we don't unfortunately want banks to collapse and so forth. We hope that this is not the start of some sort of banking collapse. We'll see what happens. Now let's take a look at the top trending tokens on social media. This data is brought to you by Sentiment, which is a partner of the channel. If you want to get a pro account and get access to all types of crypto metrics, you can get a discount using the code ThinkingCrypto. This first coin that is trending with a lot of positive sentiment is Ampleforth. The token symbol or token ticker symbol is Forth, F-O-R-T-H. Coming in at number 2 is Ethereum with decent positive sentiment. Coming in at number 3 is Brett. This looks like a meme coin. Yeah, from the logo, it's B-R-E-T-T. Actually, I saw some people tweet about this. So be careful with these meme coins, guys, because it's actually, I think the price is starting to collapse, but it has positive sentiment still. Then you got Crypto.com's coin Chrono, C-R-O, coming in with positive sentiment at number 4. And then you got a ApeCoin, ApeCoin coming in here at number 5. Although it's positive to negative sentiment, it's not great. Positive sentiment is at 43%, negative at 36. USDT Tether on Avalanche comes in here at number 6 with positive sentiment. Ampleforth comes in at number 7 with positive sentiment. USDC, the stablecoin on Optimism, comes in at 8 with positive sentiment. Then you have Nano. Wow, this is a blast from the past, but it has high negative sentiment. Folks, it's negative sentiment. It's at 62%. It's positive sentiment at 26%. So taking a beating there. And finally, number 10, Unification Fund. With decent positive sentiment coming in at number 10 here. So those are your top 10 trending tokens on social media brought to you by Sentiment. Now we got an interesting data or metric coming out from Visa showing the total transaction size by blockchain over the last 30 days. Mike Dudas highlighted that new Visa dashboard shows that Solana has significantly more stablecoin transactions than any other blockchain. So look, I have my issues with Solana because it has its downtime. It's been being very buggy, right? But I understand we are still in the early phases and there are still developments and iterations that need to be done. But the Solana team I got to give them credit. I keep it fair, guys. They are working hard. They're getting a lot of meme coins against stablecoin activity. And this is a big testament. If you're getting a lot of stablecoin activity and you're beating out, other blockchains, look, can't deny that. Now, of course, it has to be sustainable long term. So hopefully they can get things in order and continue to have this type of momentum. And that's why, part of my portfolio, I have some SOL tokens. I'm not a big long-term holder of the token. I'm just kind of riding the liquidity wave in this cycle. There's a lot of VCs behind Solana, so looking good. We'll see once again if this is sustainable. A quick word from our sponsor, and that is VeChain. VeChain is one of the top layer one enterprise blockchains out there, building incredible Web3 and decentralized applications and ecosystems. They're partnered with many big brands around the world, such as BMW, PwC, Walmart China. They are also partnered with Boston Consulting Group, building some great technology. VeChain is a highly scalable blockchain. It is fast. It has low energy consumption, and that is why many enterprises are using it. So it's stable, fast, and affordable. If you'd like to learn more about VeChain, visit vechain.org. Link will be in the description. Now, guys, let's talk about Custodia Bank, which is headed up by Caitlin Long, who I've had on the podcast quite often. We know they lost in their, case against the Fed. However, Eleanor Terrett of Fox Business is reporting that Custodia has filed a notice of intent to appeal a Wyoming district judge's March 29th ruling that the Federal Reserve has full discretion to deny Custodia's access to a master account. So they're going to appeal here. I'll try to get Caitlin Long back on a podcast to talk about this. Now, corrupt Elizabeth Warren continues her agenda to try to paint crypto in a negative light. At one point she was saying crypto is being used for terrorists and much more. Now she's trying to say that it's being used for trading child abuse material. So I don't want to say certain words because I don't want to get YouTube flag me or something, but you guys kind of understand what I'm saying here. But once again, bad actors use any means of exchange. You have to stop the bad actors. It's not the fiat currency. It's not the crypto or whatever it is, because they'll use anything, right? But she's going to try to paint it as though every transaction being done with this is with crypto. We know that's a big lie. Remember, she was using false data, saying Hamas was using all this crypto to fund their activities. And then the Wall Street Journal had to retract the data because it was incorrect. Did Elizabeth Warren apologize or retract anything? No. So once again, we got to fight these corrupt politicians. So here we go. But the great thing is that, the industry's fighting back, and we got a lot of advocacy groups which are going around educating people and stepping in saying, hey, that's the wrong data. Or, what you're highlighting, if you compare that to cash, is very minimal. And we can trace a lot of these things because it's on the blockchain. But the point is, stop the bad actors. Don't talk about the medium of exchange. It is what it is. Gold, silver, crypto, fiat currency. There's so many fiat currencies in the world. And we know 90% of the bad activity, nefarious activities done with fiat currency. So you got to keep things in perspective here. Now, one way that we can help push back against Elizabeth Warren is to vote for John Deaton if you are in the state of Massachusetts, or donate to his campaign, which I have done. And Eleanor Terrett is reporting that Massachusetts Senate candidate John Deaton is putting his crypto law hat back on and will file an amicus brief in support of Coinbase's motion for interlocutory appeal later today. In the brief, Deaton highlights the urgent need for legal clarity surrounding digital assets by highlighting the SEC's inconsistent approach to regulation and the detrimental impact it's having on industry participants. So we all know John, he did things with Ripple and the library case and much more. So this is really great. And remember, go vote for this man if you're in Massachusetts, and donate to him if you are outside the state of Massachusetts. He's running against Elizabeth Warren. He can unseat her. We sense the fear. She knows he can win. And we're seeing from the day he announces the campaign, she started trying to fight back, calling up her Democrat buddies and much more. So this is not even so much about Democrat or Republican, but getting this corrupt politician out who has her roots deep, getting tons of money from Jamie Dimon and all these guys. We see it, right? At one point, she was trying to market herself that she's for the common guy and she's against the establishment. She's not. And I only learned this until I started looking into politics more because of crypto. And I'm like, wow, this person is a big time manipulator and liar. Don't get me wrong, a lot of politicians are, but she's on another level. And it's pretty shameful what she does. And some people, join up with her because she's supports certain things like women's rights. But if they saw the full picture of what she does, their stomach would turn. They don't understand the other aspects of what she's been doing. But this is why we got to fight, folks. And John Deaton is actually getting some big support. So Mark Cuban actually just yesterday mentioned that he's supporting John Deaton against Elizabeth Warren. So John is getting some high profile support. A lot of people are recognizing, a lot of the crypto industry has donated to him the maximum that they can donate. Charles Hoskinson and many folks, I think I've shared with you guys over the past 6 months or so, have been tweeting out that they donated and much more. So folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below, folks. Don't forget to check out my new book, Rethinking Crypto, available on Amazon in both paperback and digital. This talks about the regulatory battle. It talks about Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler, talks about why FTX was not the ethos of crypto. What does the future of crypto look like? Some tips for investing in crypto and much more. It can be a great gift for folks who want to learn about the market and the asset class. It gives a holistic view. So be sure to check it out. Also, folks, I have a book signing event next week, April 30th in New York City, right across the street from the Wall Street Bull. We're going to do this in the financial district. So come by, get a signed copy of the book, get to meet me in person, and grab some food as well. So it's certainly going to be a good time. Links will all be in the description. And thank you guys for watching and listening. And I'll talk to you all later.